I usually tend to make videos about some kind of objective fact. Check out how rare these badges are, or look at the super secret thing I found. That's not what this video is. It was originally going to be something similar to the previous video, but then I realized there's a lot more to be said here. If you didn't know, Roblox recently joined the nostalgia bait train, sitting proudly among the likes of Disney and Epic Games. The Classic event is the latest example of Roblox getting brave and finally realizing that they have a legacy that they can make bank off of. After several grueling years of them running away from their past, it seems that they're finally embracing it. How? By making a reskin of The Hunt, now with a classic Roblox theme. And it's really sad, because I remember just 2 months back when Creekcraft and the entire community were going crazy over the prospect of events returning. We were so desperate for events that people actually liked the idea of having another giant death hunt. Everyone had seemingly forgotten about Metaverse Champions and pretended that this was the first Roblox event since 2020, which I mean, fair enough, that event sucked. But then the hunt released and the reception was lukewarm. Don't get me wrong though, this event was a great success for Roblox. They successfully integrated a battle pass into an official event without too much backlash. Their plan had worked. They could now make incredibly marketable events and everybody would play them. And obviously, everyone has already sang the song about all of Roblox's decisions now being driven by investors. They're a public company, of course that's the case. After all, everything going downhill pretty much aligned with the company going public and having to please people who couldn't care less about the platform itself. But is it really all investors? Cause I don't think so. I think that Roblox simply doesn't care about its legacy. Obviously, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes of Roblox corporate. I've never worked there. I'm just speaking from the perspective of someone whose 10-year anniversary on the platform is later this year. To put that into perspective, I'm a high school student. I've been playing this game for nearly 2/3 of my life. And I was there for Econ 2015, 2016, 2017, everything in between as well, all the way up to now. And having played all those previous events, it's pretty clear to me that something has changed. These events, they're no longer meant to be fun. And the thing is, the hunt was, player-wise, the biggest event Roblox has ever done, because they advertised the living hell out of it. So the fact that econs are a massive part of Roblox's history doesn't matter to them, because now there's a bigger thing which more people care about. And it's always only been a small percentage of Roblox players who care about events. Most people, even if they joined in like 2018, probably couldn't care less about these old events. So they have successfully diverted attention. Roblox events will now simply exist in people's minds as having always had battle passes, and Roblox will continue making cheap events with tight deadlines. And with that being said, let's take a look at the classic. The result of everything I just explained. I gotta say, going into this event pretty much blind, this integration set a vastly different precedent than the hunt did. And by that, I'm referring to the fact that it took me 2 whole hours to complete, which is longer than any quest in the hunt did. Now that's obviously to be expected, seeing as there's 5 badges and 10 collectibles in each game now, but if each of these objectives took me 2 hours, then I'd be here for 30 hours total, and that was honestly just a scary thought. Now I should probably explain the format of this event for the uninitiated. Basically, there are 5 blue tokens and 10 ticks in every game. Tokens are supposed to act as the main objective, you have to work for them and complete different tasks. The ticks on the other hand are just collectibles which don't award any prizes per se, all they do is let you purchase items in the classic hub. This format is good in theory, but it backfired pretty hilariously, with most games simply using the tokens as checkpoints in one larger objective, which very much could have just been one singular badge. Also, I wasn't really speedrunning the event this time, considering this released on a Thursday and I had school the day after, so I wasn't too worried about time. Found my first piece of text right at the start, and then spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to start the car until eventually just rejoining. I mean, I genuinely thought the game... Sorry about that. The car actually started this time and I drove to 2000 meters and shot up some orbs, which awarded me my first token. And I also found my second ticks, nice. But then I accidentally mixed oil with gas, which forced me to restart. I reached 4000 meters this time and drove across this really scary bridge where I also found 2 more ticks. Then I somehow managed to launch myself in this rocket ship and it clipped through the ground on the way back. And I guess that's the first revive. When I got to 6000 meters, I realized I didn't actually have any weapons to fight these pirates with because I left all my guns behind. So I frantically ran around the map until realizing there were no weapons to be found here. And although I didn't want to give up on searching for a weapon, the game seemingly decided for me because I fell through this brick into my death. On the third though, I purchased a second revive. But the game must have really not wanted me to continue because the revive spawned me on an island which I couldn't escape without another revive, so I gave in and just restarted. It was here that I realized that I had somehow missed a piece of Ticks all the way back at 2000 meters. And then I proceeded to die to the orbs, that was a first. But this time I wouldn't be as lucky with the bridge, accidentally shoving my car off while trying to save it from falling. And then I had another close call on the bridge, but this time I successfully pushed it back on track. Now prepared with some weapons, I took on the pirates again and managed to find my 6th piece of Ticks. And then I just jumped off into the water. I mean, I genuinely have no explanation for this. Thankfully, this time the revive put me over the ship, so I was able to continue onwards to 8000 meters where there was a haunted mansion. I found 2 more Ticks here and quite easily killed the zombies. However, during the token claiming animation, a zombie ended up killing me, which was just great. At least it was smooth sailing from here though. I defeated the 1x1x1x1 boss and obtained the final 2 Ticks. Luckily I didn't miss any because doing this again would have been pretty painful. Although I did briefly think I missed one because the final badge I got was for having 9 Ticks and not 10, but eventually I did figure out that the badges were just awarded in the wrong order. This here is another Jandel game, and this one was a bit more in line with what I'd expect from an event integration in one of his games. And if Dusty Trip was a pleasant surprise, then this was somehow actually worse than I imagined. This game is the first of the ones which use the Ticks as a choke point before you can get to the blue tokens instead of as collectibles, which is already a pretty funny example of the format backfiring. The Ticks are really easy to find though, you can get them effortlessly pretty much without even dying at all. Which makes sense, because someone told me on the last video that the team you play against in this game is all bots. If you check, they don't actually show up in the player list. Anyways, when you find the 10 Ticks, you have to get a ton of kills with different weapons. Luckily, my friend told me you can just blow yourself up with the rocket launcher and bombs, which made it way faster, but still a very long time. And as for the other 3 weapons, there's nothing you can really do except spawn camp the bots for a solid 30 minutes. Which is not great, but it's also not surprising. The official Classic Event Hub released around the time I finished doing Gunfight Arena, and I gotta say, this hub is absolutely stunning. I know I was being really negative in the intro, but this here is one especially good part of the event. There's so many little details in here that I absolutely adore, such as the animation on the door not being smooth, or the chest secret actually using the classic chest hat, or the water clearly not being union because it leaves these little gaps behind. All these little things just come together to make this hub feel very authentic, and it was definitely made with a lot of care. However, it's important to remember that Roblox commissioned Twin Atlas, a pre-established development group, to make this hub. A group consisting of people like Abstract Alex, the owner of World Zero, or Arifia, the co-owner of Sonar Studios, which has just way too many games to even mention, and Bereza, the creator of Miner's Haven, which I actually met in the Classic Hub, and a bunch of other people as well, who let me in the server. Anyways, yeah, it's very likely that none of the people who made the hub actually had much say in the actual event, so this hub is likely just a result of very passionate people putting their all into the very limited part they played. And Roblox didn't even let the in-hub quests get their own hats on the catalog. All of them were either for in-game accessories or just contributing to the main line of awards. Which in my opinion is such a missed opportunity, because the hub is one of my favorite parts of the event, and hell, one of the only good parts. It really just makes you wonder what Twin Atlas could make if they were asked to do, say, an egg hunt or any other event. It doesn't have to be Easter themed. And I stayed in the hub for over an hour and a half, just finding all the secrets and completing all the quests, because it was really fun. But in reality, there wasn't much point to it. Which means now we go back to the death hunt. God help me, what? Before I start complaining, I gotta say, the players in this game are actually really nice. Literally, as soon as I joined, some guy sent me a trade request and gave me really good towers, which probably saved me a ton of time. Shout out to this guy. Anyways, I'd usually give a Tower Defense game props because I just enjoy the genre. But honestly, this quest just feels so uninspired. There's been all this talk about games like Work at a Pizza Place and epic minigames being in the event. You know, actually classic games. So why on earth did this get in? And they couldn't even be bothered to make an original classic map, all they did was scale Crossroads down. And the Tix Hunt is entirely in the lobby as well. I don't know, this quest is lame. This one was taking me so long that I had to go to sleep and finish it the next day. Also, isn't this just the Econ 2020 quest this game had, but longer? They genuinely might have reused code from 4 years ago for this. And the ticks are just impossible to find without a guide, so I eventually folded and had to use one. This isn't a good quest.
I hope this one burns in the fiery pits of hell.
For the Bed Wars integration, you have to reach wave 10 in the new Penguin Attack game mode. Simple, right? Well, let's see how my experience went. In attempt 1, our bed was destroyed and we died on wave 3. This one we actually made it to wave 5, but that's still only halfway. This one actually raised my hopes a bit, because we reached wave 9, but the bed was destroyed, so it's kind of unwinnable at this point. And this also would be the last time this happened, so... This attempt already puts us at 1 hour, so I've started developing a strategy by now. First of all, you need to make sure it's this green map here, because you can block off the entrances for better protection. Secondly, you need to get obsidian as soon as possible to cover the bed with. Trust me, no other material will do. So, surely with this knowledge I'd be able to get a win pretty quickly. Well, it was wave 9 again this time, but that's a good thing, right? We even made it to wave 10 with the bed destroyed. It was at this point where I decided to go full pay to win and bought a kit, but it wouldn't end up being very useful, so this one's on me. Also, this attempt was on the winner map, so I just rejoined. Winner map again, and again, and again. And this one I tried communicating the strategy to the others, but we just ended up dying on round 2. We died at wave 5. At this point I invited Scorionics because it was becoming increasingly apparent to me that you need to play with people who actually know what they're doing if you want to win. And we died at wave 9 again. Wave 3 here, wave 4, wave 2, wave 3 again, and wave 8. And here I invited 2 more people to the team, so maybe we could win this time, who knows? Nope, wave 5. At this point our strategy is really refined. Block off the entrances and cover the bed with obsidian as soon as possible. But we still died at wave 10. And then a wave 7 death, but it's on the snow map, so this is actually a pretty good sign. And on this one we just restarted because my kit disappeared for some reason. And then, finally, this was the perfect storm. We had 5 fully kitted out people in the game and everybody had their own role to play. My role was to collect obsidian and protect the bed, after which I covered it with blast-proof concrete. We finally managed to get to wave 10 without the bed breaking and completed the quest. And it only took 4 hours. This was the most painful quest of the entire event. I feel sorry for anyone who has to do it alone. The public servers rarely get far. At this point I was just really hoping none of the other quests take anywhere near this long. Another game which no one wanted to return from the hunt is Blade Ball, and it came out swinging. I'm honestly just not a fan of how this game plays. It feels like you press F to deflect sometimes and it just doesn't register in time. With that being said, how about having to play it for nearly 2 hours? And so just completely arbitrary quests, one of which being collect all the ticks. So much for them being optional collectibles, I guess. I'll give them props for making a 1x1x1x1 boss fight, but then remove the props for making me play the game for 2 hours. This did happen though, it was pretty cool. I'm gonna be honest, I really disliked the quests this game had for Econs 2019 and 2020. But this time around, On it actually nailed it. This is one of the better quests in the event. Especially the theming, and it does make sense considering he joined Roblox in 2009. This one actually seemed a lot worse than my first time playing because we died on round 1. But it turned out not to be too bad, you just need at least one person with a good hive to attack while you spam the trowel. Second time around I left at round 6 because I guess I thought that was the end for some reason. But the next time around I got all the badges, so it was fine. And the ticks here are hidden creatively as well, being split between 3 different areas: the main game, the matchmaking hub and the minigame map. Honestly, this is just a great quest. Good job on it.
Dress for success, dress to impress.
Going into this one I was thinking, oh god, not this game again. It's true, I really hate how this game looks, it's just uncanny. But the quest actually isn't too bad this time around. It's another one of those games which make you collect the ticks to progress instead of making them optional collectibles. But when you get all the ticks, you get brought into this very nice looking obby, which doesn't remind me of anything at all. Naturally, the obby is very easy, but this is a fun quest. Maybe it's not so bad that this game got brought back for another event. To be honest, I'm not really the biggest fan of shooter games, I find them to be really frustrating. So, all things considered, I probably shouldn't like this quest, but it's just really awesome. There's one central mission, and to get all the tokens you have to meet certain conditions while doing it. The standouts of course being beating the mission in under 15 minutes and beating the mission with a pistol. This is a really creative way of going about the 5 tokens, and I don't think any of the other games really do it. It's probably actually closer to how they are intended to be used. My first run clocked in at 38 minutes, which was actually a long way off the 15-minute mark. But then I did it with a friend and we did an 11-minute run first try, so it turned out to be quite easy. And then we tried to do a pistol-only run, but I accidentally picked up a weapon, so we just got all the ticks instead. I really love how the ticks are hidden in here as well. They make you do parkour and add actual spots to hide the ticks instead of just placing them randomly around the map. It's nice. The pistol-only run somehow took me even longer than my initial run, but it was actually just as fun because this mission is really replayable. Tower defense games are good, but only in moderation. This is not moderation. Basically, you need to complete 5 maps with 1 ticks in each of them and 5 more ticks hidden in the lobby. 3 of the maps are simple enough, you might fail once or twice, but in the end you should get through fine. And for maps 3 and 5 are absolutely diabolical. Each one of them took me over 5 attempts, and 5 attempts in a game which has rounds stretching up to 20 minutes is a lot of attempts. This was just extremely difficult. I'll give them props since you can kind of strategize through the trial and error and figure out what towers to place, but it's still just a whole lot of waiting. This quest essentially just has the same problem as Bed Wars, but to a lesser extent. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I almost preferred the Toilet Tower Defense quest. I don't know what it is about it, this game is just perplexing. For some reason, my mind just cannot understand this game. It doesn't have any gameplay, all the gameplay is user generated. And the way you play it is just by begging people to record videos with you, I guess. Also, the game literally just makes both the tokens and the ticks into collectibles you can find, with the only difference being that you need to take a selfie with NPCs you find for the tokens. Although apparently they revamped some kind of Mad Murderer map for this, which is pretty nice. I wish that game were in this event though, or any actually classic game for that matter. This one effectively does the same thing as Clip It, where both the ticks and tokens are just things you have to find. But this time it might actually work in the game's favor. The game just has this really smooth flight system which makes searching for the eggs and exploring the maps really fun. And they were pretty easy to find as well. Well, until I reached World 3. This one singular egg had me flying around for so long that I eventually just folded and purchased the egg radar for 99 Robux. And I mean, the egg was on top of a tree. There are no other eggs on top of trees, how was I supposed to know? Come on. But yeah, this game just has these really stunning worlds which perfectly mix meshes and terrain. Actually, I think this art style would fit perfectly in an egg hunt. And what do you know, this game is made by Sonar Studios. You know, the development studio from earlier which had a lot of the same members as Twin Atlas. I mean, the quest in this game is literally about hunting for eggs. It's like they were hinting at something. Please, Roblox, let these people make an egg hunt. Or anything similar to one. I like the fact that they didn't cop out with this one and actually modified the 2011 starter place instead of just adding it in without any modifications. But also, this just seemed like it was going to take forever, so I bought the 2x progress game pass. You basically just raise Builderman over and over again in this one. There's a delivery service task as well, but it gets you points way slower, so it's not worth grinding. I guess I didn't mind this quest too much though. I'm used to doing things again and again in a loop by now. Liftopia brings you through the average day of an Amazon delivery driver for its quest. There wasn't even an attempt at sticking to the theme here. Absolutely nothing is classic Roblox themed other than the name for the delivery service, I guess. This might be the most boring one, you just get orders enough to find them in the store. And trust me, you're gonna know the store inside and out by the time you're done. Also, for some reason the binoculars are called telescope. That's not a critique by the way, I just find it funny. This is the only one which I prepared for before the event started, so I was able to just find the ticks while the quest completed itself. If you have a good restaurant, you can literally just AFK for this one while occasionally collecting the money because it blocks the tables for some reason. And yeah, that's the last game. By the time I finished the event, there were only about 2 days left on the clock. The whole thing just felt so miserable to play that I kept putting it off. I don't know if it was all the objectives essentially being objectives from the hunt but 5 times longer, or maybe wishing this game format got canned and this event had turned out far better. But I mean, listen, I don't want to just complain about the state of Roblox events without offering a way to fix them. And historically there have been 3 different ways the Death Hunt format has worked. Number 1 is monthly events, which made developers put a lot more effort in. Think stuff like Super Blocky Ball making a custom map for the Kids' Choice Awards, or Escape Room doing the same thing. Another one was egg hunts, where every quest would award a hat. This allowed for a large number of games while also remaining rewarding. Though, admittedly, this format had a lot of the same issues as the current one. And lastly, my personal favorite, gunting events. Think stuff like Ready Player 2 or RB Battles. This format is very rewarding to the dedicated players and provides far more gameplay than any of the other formats, as long as someone participates in the solving process. The downside to this one is that it does tend to lead to some rather convoluted quests, and it's not very accessible. It's good that Roblox is trying to do events, as tedious and soul-wrenching as they may be, but these aren't events that will be remembered by people fondly. There's a reason Econs 2017 and 2018 are still talked about today. They were made by genuinely great developers who were passionate about their craft, and they made something which was truly special. But as United stated on Twitter, those events were an overall loss financially for Roblox. That's why they didn't continue making them after Econ 2018. And in my opinion, the last truly great event was Ready Player 2 in 2020. The RB Battles events were fun, but I don't think they really lived up to some of the best official Roblox events. And this newest event in particular really has me wondering, where did all the effort into pushing developers to do their best go? There's some quests which you can tell had a lot of effort put into them, such as Arsenal or a Dusty Trip, but the rest of the integrations were seemingly thrown together quite haphazardly and made only to maximize playtime. And you can tell Roblox tried to take criticism from the hunt into consideration by making the number of participating games smaller and giving them more badges to work with. But in the end, it all just ended up as one big objective with offshoots, or the tokens were used as checkpoints. I think what they perhaps wanted to go for was something like Ripple Minigames' Econ 2015 integration, where all the eggs had fairly distinct objectives. However, similarly to that event, I'm not sure Roblox gave any of the devs enough time to do something like that. But even if they did get more time, I doubt most of these developers really care enough to make something great. It's already pretty obvious that the games in this event were chosen because the devs wanted to participate and make something good, but because they're part of an inner circle which Roblox can rely on to consistently churn out event integrations, as sloppy as they may be. And I'm not gonna pretend to be knowledgeable enough about the Roblox developer community to know which developers would make good objectives. However, I'm sure someone like Hilo, who has landed top 10 on the leaderboards twice now, would push their game, Tower Heroes, to having a great objective. And CrazyBlocks has even stated very clearly on Twitter that if they had asked him, he would have made an integration for a classic flood escape in a heartbeat. So I'm really hoping that the next event, whenever it may come, has good games in it with all the padding removed and it's a fun experience all around. However, Roblox has proven time and time again that even when they do take some kind of criticism into account, the end product ends up with even more issues due to the misinterpretations of that criticism. And I'm rooting for all these people who do DevRel and organize events over at Roblox. Creekcraft says they're good people who want to make the events as good as possible. And I want to make a video with a title something along the lines of The Absolute State of Roblox Events whenever the next one releases. But if the past is of any indication of what's to come, things won't improve. Despite anyone's best efforts, we may never get a truly great Roblox event again. Because Roblox doesn't care about its legacy. Or perhaps the devs don't. Just maybe.